League of Legends has some of the best cosmetic skins in all of gaming. From free anniversary gifts to $500 premium collectibles, Riot has built an entire universe of alternate designs that players obsess over. So today, I'm breaking down the best skins in League and explaining exactly what makes each one special. Starting with the skin that represents the ultimate budget-friendly flex, Surprise Party Fiddlesticks. Here's the thing about Surprise Party Fiddlesticks. It's a legendary tier skin. New animations, new emotes, new recall. Completely overhauled ability effects, the whole package, and it costs players 975 Riot points. The skin transforms Fiddlesticks from a terrifying scarecrow demon into a party-throwing maniac with confetti, balloons, and streamers replacing his nightmare fuel. His ultimate literally rains down a surprise party on your enemies. It's genuinely one of the most fun legendary skins in the game, and the fact that you're getting a top-tier legendary at a fraction of the usual cost makes it the best consolation prize for surviving a decade of solo queue. What makes it truly special is that this was Riot saying thanks for 10 years with actual quality, not some throwaway icon nobody uses. Proof that great skins doesn't need a premium price tag to be a total masterpiece. But if you think a legendary production for the price of a mid-tier snack is a steal, wait until you hear about the cow that became a literal cultural phenomenon. Mukau Alistar. Every single skin in League of Legends exists because players fell in love with stupid cosmetics, and no skin proves that harder than Mukau Alistar. Released on March 30th, 2017, this skin took a giant angry Minotaur and put him in a full cow costume, complete with a cowbell. Before you ask, yes, you can spam the cowbell, and it worked. Here's the thing, this skin didn't need flashy particle effects or 10 elemental forms to win people over. It proved that pure personality could carry a cosmetic harder than any legendary tier transformation. Players didn't buy Mukau Alistar because it made them better at the game. They bought it because standing in lane ringing a cowbell at your opponent while playing a support tank is one of the funniest power moves in League history. That single concept, charm over spectacle, validated what Riot could do when they leaned into humor. And somehow, years later, it still holds up. Players consistently describe it as one of the best long-term purchases in the game because it stays fun even after hundreds of matches. No elaborate transformations, no ultimate skin gimmicks. Just a big angry cow with a cowbell and pure personality. Currently sitting at 975 RP with multiple chromas, it's proof that charm outlasts spectacle every single time. But if you think a legendary cow is impressive, wait until you see what Riot did with a gunslinger in a deal with the devil. Most legendary skins give you a new outfit and some fancy particle effects. High Noon, Lucian gives you a whole second champion. When you pop his ultimate, Lucian doesn't just start shooting faster. He transforms into a full demonic entity, complete with glowing eyes, warped features, and an energy that looks ripped straight out of a supernatural western horror film. Oh, one second he's a rugged gunslinger, the next he's something that crawled out of hell to collect a debt. That dual state mechanic is what elevates this skin from cool cowboy reskin to genuinely one of the most impressive legendaries in the game. You're basically getting a Jekyll and Hyde experience at 1820 RP. The human form looks clean, composed, dangerous in a quiet way. Then the ultimate flips a switch, and suddenly you're piloting a demon. It fundamentally changes how you perceive the champion mid-fight, which is something most skins at any price point don't even attempt. And the fact that High Noon has grown into one of League's most expanded skin lines, with over a dozen champions, tells you everything about how hard this thematic resonated with the player base. But Lucian isn't just another member of the roster. He's the demonic centerpiece, the one that proved you could blend Western grit with cosmic horror, and make it feel like it always belonged together. But if you think a basketball hoop and a demon gunslinger have nothing in common, you clearly haven't met Dunkmaster Darius. Dunkmaster Darius. Most legendary skins start in a Riot boardroom somewhere. This one started with a crowd of fans yelling at an artist. At Gamescom 2013, Riot's art team ran a live demo where they let the audience pick what skin concept they'd draw on stage. The crowd chose Dunkmaster Darius, and Riot actually went and made it. The skin dropped in October 2014 at 1820 RP, and it's exactly what you think it is. Darius in a red Noxus basketball jersey, tattoo sleeves running down both arms, and his axe replaced with a literal basketball hoop. His abilities launch basketballs, his ultimate is a dunk. But here's the thing, it's not just a funny concept slapped onto a model. This is a full legendary with new particles on every ability and auto attack, custom sound effects, completely new voice lines, and multiple chromas if you want to switch up the jersey color. Darius talks trash like an actual NBA player who's had zero media training. It's beautiful. And because it came directly from community input, there's this ownership that players feel toward it. It's not just Riot's skin, it's the community's skin. That's why it keeps showing up on best of lists years later. The concept is perfect, the execution matches, and the origin story gives it something most legendaries don't have, which is a soul. But if Dunkmaster Darius is what happens when the community picks a concept, God King Garen is what happens when Riot decides to turn a champion into an actual deity. God King Garen. Most legendary skins give you a new outfit. God King Garen gives you an entire mythology. Released in June 2018 at 1,820 RP, this skin was only half of a much bigger idea. Riot dropped God King Garen and God King Darius at the same time as part of a Versus event, and the two skins weren't just cosmetically linked, they were philosophically opposed. Garen represents order, Darius represents chaos, and the entire design language pulls from Asian RPG aesthetics, the kind of divine character archetypes you'd find in a JRPG where two gods have been fighting since before time existed. Here's where it gets interesting. The lore behind God King Garen positions him as the final sign of an ancient divinity, basically the last remaining fragment of a cosmic force that keeps civilization from collapsing entirely. He's not just a knight with a big sword anymore. He's the final bulwark against the literal end of everything, and Darius is the thing trying to tear it all down, which is, not ideal. What makes this work is how clearly the skins communicate their philosophies without saying a word. You look at God King Garen and you immediately understand law, structure, divine authority. You look at God King Darius and you see conquest, destruction, raw power. They feel less like alternate costume and more like alternate universe versions of these champions that actually matter. Riot clearly agreed because in 2024 they came back and released Fallen God King Garen, expanding the narrative even further. A legendary skin getting lore sequels 6 years later is not normal, but if you think a cosmic king with a mythology problem is impressive, wait until you meet the artist who turned the entire universe into his canvas. Dark Cosmic. Jhin is already one of the most thematically complete champions in League. He's a serial killer who thinks murder is art. Every ability revolves around the number 4. His entire kit is a performance. So when Riot decided to give him a legendary skin, they didn't just slap a new coat of paint on him. They put him in charge of the universe. Dark Cosmic Jhin dropped in June 2019 as an 1,820 RP legendary, and it does something genuinely clever. Instead of fighting against Jin's obsessive perfectionist personality, the cosmic horror aesthetic leans directly into it. He's not just killing people anymore, he's arranging galaxies. He's composing supernovae. Every bullet trail leaves streaks of dying stars, and his ultimate turns the entire screen into a celestial canvas. But here's the thing, this skin isn't just good because it looks pretty. It represents Riot's bigger strategy of building entire alternate realities through cosmetic lines. The Dark Cosmic Universe has its own hierarchy, its own lore. Jhin isn't wearing a costume. He exists as a completely different entity in a parallel timeline. That's not a skin, that's world building. Now, there is a legitimate debate about whether all those swirling void particles actually help in a competitive match. Some players argue the cosmic effects make it harder to read ability hitboxes, which is, not ideal when you're dodging a fourth shot that deletes you from existence. But most people don't care, because looking like a god of destruction while you one-shot someone from across the map is its own reward. But if you think cosmic horror is ambitious, wait until you see what Riot did when they tried to completely rebuild a champion from the ground up with a single skin. Here's the thing about ultimate skins. Somebody had to go first. Somebody had to walk into a room at Riot and say, what if we made a skin so ridiculously detailed that we have to invent an entirely new pricing tier for it? And in July 2013, Spirit Guard Udyr was one of 3 skins that answered that question. At 3,250 RP, this wasn't just expensive, it was a statement. Udyr gets completely reimagined as a Shaolin monk who's achieved total inner peace, swapping his feral aesthetic for traditional monk attire, prayer beads, and the calm energy of a guy who could absolutely destroy you, but has decided not to, which is, the scariest kind of person. But the real flex isn't the theme, it's the scope. Every single stance gets its own unique animations, particles, emotes, recalls, and auto attacks. Switch to Tiger, new particles. Level up Phoenix, the effects change again. The skin is basically 4 skins wearing a trench coat pretending to be one skin. On top of that, Udyr received entirely new voiceover work with exclusive lines for recalls, respawns, match start, ability activations, and stance changes. The man has more dialogue options than some champions have in total voice lines. What makes Spirit Guard Deer genuinely important isn't just that it looks good, it's that it proved thematic weight and animation completeness matter more than flashy particle explosions. Nearly 13 years later, it's still the benchmark people point to when arguing about whether a new Ultimate skin actually deserves the label. But if you want to see what happens when someone takes that benchmark and cranks every dial to the absolute maximum, wait until you see what Riot did with Light Magic, Elementalist Lux. Most Ultimate skins give you one really impressive transformation. Elementalist Lux gives you 10 completely distinct elemental forms, each with its own model, textures, sound effects, particle effects, and voice lines.
Fair warning, I'm testing the limits of my powers today.
Light, water, fire, air, nature, ice, storm, magma, mystic, and dark. Every single one functions as its own standalone skin. You're not buying one cosmetic here. You're buying 10 of them wearing a trench coat. Released November 28, 2016, this was the 4th Ultimate skin ever made, priced at 3,250 RP. The Master Edition bumps that to 3,950 RP and throws in 10 exclusive icons plus an Elementalist Ward skin that shifts appearance to match whatever form you're currently running. The transformation mechanic itself is genuinely clever. You accumulate elemental power by hitting enemies with spells, and you can transform twice per game, choosing a new element each time. So no two games have to look the same. Riot themselves describe the skin as the pinnacle of creativity for their design team. And here's the thing, they weren't exaggerating. Nearly a decade later, nothing has matched it. No Ultimate skin since has attempted 10 distinct forms with this level of individual polish. It's the gold standard, and the gold standard hasn't moved. The skin's success also quietly did something else. It cemented Lux as one of Riot's central marketing figures. She went from popular mid laner to the face of the game's cosmetic ambitions basically overnight. There's been community debate about whether a 10-form skin should cost more than other Ultimates, which is a fair question nobody has a great answer to. But if Elementalist Lux set the bar for what an Ultimate skin could be, the next entry is going to show you what happens when Riot tries a completely different approach to the same tier. K/DA All-Out Seraphine. Every Ultimate skin before this one worked the same way. You buy it, you get everything, you pick your form in game. Simple. K/DA All-Out. Seraphine looked at that formula and said, nah, you're gonna earn it. Released in October 2020 at 3,250 RP, this skin shipped with 3 distinct forms: Indie, Rising Star, and Superstar. But here's the thing, you didn't get all 3 on day 1. Riot built a narrative mission system where you permanently unlocked each form by completing gameplay objectives. Your Seraphine literally levels up her music career as you play, going from bedroom producer to full-blown pop icon. And honestly, it's a clever idea. Rather than handing you everything at checkout, the skin creates a progression loop that gives you a reason to keep playing. Each form has its own visual identity, its own vibe, its own music aesthetic. The bundle also came packed with custom emotes, a summoner icon, and a border so you weren't starving for content while grinding. But the community was split right down the middle. Some players loved it. Earning forms through gameplay felt more rewarding than just buying access, like you'd actually gone on the journey with the character. Others looked at it and went, so I paid 3,250 RP, and I don't even get the full skin yet, which is, you know, not an unreasonable reaction. The K/DA universe integration helped smooth things over. The pop group aesthetic, the music crossover appeal, the lore connections, it all felt like Seraphine belonged in that world. Whether the mission system was genuine innovation or a clever way to extend the unlock timeline, it changed what an Ultimate skin could be. But if Seraphine redefined how you unlock an Ultimate skin, the next entry redefined what one even looks like. Soul Fighter Samira. Here's a question that shouldn't be complicated, but somehow is. What do you call a skin that costs 3,250 RP, has exclusive animations, custom voice lines, and visual effects on par with every Ultimate skin in the game? If you said an Ultimate skin, congratulations, you have basic pattern recognition. Soul Fighter Samira dropped in July 2023 as part of the Soul Fighter event, and the skin itself is genuinely impressive. The entire thematic is pulled straight from martial arts, cinema, and arcade fighting games, blending Eastern mythology with that over-the-top anime tournament energy where every punch has a backstory and every combo is a philosophical statement. Samira's animations feel like she walked out of a Street Fighter character select screen, which is not a complaint. But here's where it gets complicated. The skin costs exactly the same as Elementalist Lux. It costs exactly the same as Spirit Guard Udyr. It delivers custom voice lines, exclusive animations, and visual effects that match what those skins offer. And yet, Riot looked at all of that and said, This isn't Ultimate, this is Mythic. Nobody can explain what that actually means. The community immediately called it out. If it walks like an Ultimate, costs like an Ultimate, and plays like an Ultimate, then either it's an Ultimate or the tier system means nothing. The leading theory is pretty straightforward. Riot doesn't want to call it Ultimate, because Ultimate comes with expectations. Expectations around updates, around quality benchmarks, around long-term support. Slap a different label on it, and suddenly those commitments vanish, which is, not ideal. But if you think a naming controversy is the worst thing Riot's done to a skin's pricing, wait until you see what they did with Jinx, Arcane Fractured Jinx. This is where Riot officially lost the plot. On December 11th, 2024, they released Arcane Fractured Jinx and simultaneously invented an entirely new rarity tier called Exalted, sitting above Ultimate in the cosmetic hierarchy. Not the absolute peak, that honor goes to the transcendent tier with immortalized Legend Ahri, but still an entirely new classification that didn't exist before this skin dropped. The price tag? Approximately 32,000 RP, which translates to roughly 250 real dollars. Let me say that again, $250 for a skin. But here's the kicker, you can't even just buy it outright. The skin is locked behind the Sanctum Gacha system, meaning you're rolling randomized drops across up to 80 pulls before it's guaranteed to show up. So not only is it one of the most expensive skins ever released on launch day, it's also gated behind slot machine mechanics, which is, not ideal. Now, credit where it's due. The skin itself is genuinely impressive. You get 3 completely distinct permanent forms: Arcane Fractured Jinx, Powder, and Shimmer Jinx, each representing alternate timeline futures from the Arcane universe. Every form has unique animations, particles, and visual effects. It's a love letter to the Netflix series, and it looks fantastic. But that's the trap, right? Make something beautiful enough, and people will justify any price. The community was split straight down the middle. Half of them called it the most ambitious cosmetic Riot ever made. The other half called it predatory. And honestly, both sides had a point. 3 forms with full animation suites is legitimately impressive work. Gating it behind a gacha system at $250 is legitimately aggressive monetization. This skin didn't just break the price ceiling, it removed it entirely. And if you think Riot stopped here, wait until you hear what they did next. Immortalized Legend Ahri. This is where the whole thing breaks. In 2024, Riot launched the Hall of Legends, a new esports celebration designed to honor the greatest professional players in League history. And the first inductee was the obvious choice, Faker, the unkillable Demon King, the greatest to ever do it. To commemorate the moment, Riot created a skin on Ahri, his most iconic champion, featuring 3 Demon King transformation forms, custom HUD effects during her ultimate, an exclusive announcer, and finisher animations. They called it the Transcendent Tier, the highest cosmetic classification Riot has ever created. The standard version costs roughly 32,430 RP. That's about $250. The signature version, 59,260 RP, around $500. For a skin, here's where it gets complicated. Faker is arguably the most universally loved player in esports history. He's known for humility, for grinding, for representing everything good about competitive gaming. And Riot decided to honor him with a skin that 99% of his fans literally cannot afford. The irony is so thick you could spread it on toast. But the community didn't just complain on forums, they did something unprecedented. Players started banning Ahri in their own games as a form of protest. Her ban rate spiked roughly 30% above baseline, not because she was overpowered, but because people were using in-game mechanics to make a statement about monetization. Reddit filled with organized boycott threads. Critical YouTube videos racked up millions of views. It was the first time the player base weaponized the ban system as a consumer protest tool, and that's the real story of League's cosmetic evolution. It started with skins like Surprise Party Fiddlesticks costing 900 to 75 RP, roughly $10. It ended with a $500 Ahri skin that the community actively tried to prevent anyone from playing, from celebration to controversy, from $10 to $500. Not all stories have a point. Sometimes they just get more expensive. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.